Hey everybody, thank you so much for joining us today at RIG Podcast. I'm joined today by Darrington and Jamie, or is it Jaime?
Jamie.
Oh, okay, you look like you could pass for Mexican, maybe. Jaime?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know with that green hair though.
Hmm.
I was thinking maybe Irish.
I'm a little bit Irish. Not much though.
What's the rest of your ethnicity?
I'm part Russian, British, Italian, German, and Irish.
Wow.
I don't know the mixes of each, so I just assume a fifth of each.
And what about you, Darrington? What's your ethnicity?
Oh, I think that
White.
pretty much the DNA tests came back like all Central Europe, Western Europe. So
All right. Hey, so we want to start first off, foremost, we want to talk a little bit about your American Ninja Warrior, like how you got interested, how you got started.
As a kid, I was always interested in just kind of body movement. I remember being really just impressed with Jackie Chan movies and all of his action stunts and stuff like that, and really just kind of being blown away at his body control. And that kind of took me into parkour. And I had seen a show called MXC, which is a Japanese game show dubbed for English for comedy. And what they did is it was just weird obstacle stuff that kind of a mixture of Wipeout style and Ninja Warrior things. And I was watching with my dad, and then at one point he introduced me to Sasuke. He's like, "That show we like, I found it, but it's like real athletes doing this thing." And he showed me Ninja Warrior in Japan, and I was just blown away with what they were able to do. I remember seeing the first time they brought in the cliffhanger, and it was just like a straight line, and then there's like another little line and a gap, and I was like, "Whoa!" They have to go across this like 2-foot gap, and now it's just exploded beyond that. But it was really amazing to see, and I wanted to see what am I capable of. Can I get to that level of control of like Jackie Chan or these Ninja Warrior athletes that can do these things first try. And then I saw a commercial for American Ninja Warrior season 2. I didn't know season 1 it came to the States yet. They were looking for costume competitors for season 2. It was like an open casting call. And so I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I get a chance to try it out. And I submitted. I went to Venice Beach, competed in season 2, got a call back for season 3, but I had wrist surgery. Ended up hurting my wrist doing a lot of drill work for my thesis project in school. And then got a call back for season 4 and everything since. So been going back as much as I can, as often as I can. And we just are currently filming season 13.
Wow. So another quick question, Jamie.
Yeah.
So this is unrelated. Well, first of all, I know you've been in Japan, right?
Yeah. I got to compete in Sasuke last year or the year before. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe.
This is totally unrelated. But have either of you seen any of the Japanese game shows? The crazy Japanese game shows?
A couple of them. Not in person, just on YouTube stuff.
Darrington?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we don't get a whole lot of broadcasting of Japanese stations there.
Well, I mean, you watch them on YouTube. They do the craziest pranks. Like, you would get sued so badly if you try to do the control. It's like borderline, some of the stuff borderline's like sadistic. They have this one where they're in a mountain and they have like this sauna and these guys are butt naked and they get on to get a massage and the chair turns around and it sends them going flying.
Oh yeah, down the ski slope.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So first of all, really cool to meet you. I really like your style, and never been a fan of like the TV show sort of like gladiator style stuff, but that like some of the stuff you do is cool. Like it really you really raised the bar, man.
Thank you. I try to keep it interesting because I get bored with the everyday thing. So that boredom kind of sends me into new paths.
What's been a high point of Ninja Warrior? Or like,
For sure, getting to go to Sasuke was a high point. It's Japanese only unless you're invited. And in the very beginning, top few athletes made it to Japan. But then when we created Vegas, they stopped doing that, and then we did like USA versus the world, and we had international competitors. So to get the invite to go over and compete in Japan was just highlight of my career. It was also close to one of the low points of my career because I failed on like the second half of like the first obstacle or like the second obstacle. So it was like this huge honor and then like this really poor performance. But it was way better to have gone and failed than to have never gone at all. I still hope to come back. Mine was the last competition before the pandemic, so they haven't had any internationals since then. So hopefully, I would get to go back and get some redemption on that course. But by far the biggest highlight and highest honor I've had is being able to compete in Japan. And then I also got to compete in Germany, which is really nice, and got to climb the final tower, the stage 4, and did it in time, which is a really amazing thing that I hold up as one of the high points of my career as well.
oh, wow. Yeah. So would you consider the situation in Japan to also be a low point, like
Um,
simultaneously?
yeah, it was kind of a big low point. It didn't hit me the hardest. I mean, it's kind of like go to play basketball with Michael Jordan and like you can't figure out how to dribble. It's like,
Right.
failing in front of like your idols. Um, so it was more, I think, just humiliating than like really soul crushing.
Hmm.
What I think got me the most was season 11. I didn't make it to Vegas. I failed obstacle, I think it was 8. So that was city finals. No one made it past that obstacle. And in previous years, normally I'm either the first to make it through or one of like 2 or 3 to make it through the course for the city finals. And that was the first year since, so that was season 11. It was the first time in 6 years I didn't make it to the national finals. And that was just really, soul crushing because I had lost my job that year that I had moved states to go do. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to, focus on, making it a ninja, and that'll, bring me back up again. And then that didn't happen the way it did. And it just, really kind of hit me hard. So not necessarily like the worst thing that I've ever, performed, but it definitely hit me the hardest.
We'll post a link to your social media
Okay.
and the entrance video that you made. Yeah, maybe last year. The
Oh,
one that
cool.
had like it showed your foot that was all swollen and stuff. I mean, that's a Darrington. It'll blow your mind because I guess
Uh,
every year you have to enter.
yeah.
And he talked about all of his struggles and about how he got to that. And it's like one of those Matthew McConaughey. You're just like, wow, like that's unbelievable. Can you tell us a little bit about that, about the entrance video?
Each year, you're required to do a submission video for the show. I always say no one's guaranteed to come back unless you win the whole thing. So it's changed. It used to be like an 8-minute video, and now it's like a 2-3 minute video max. And you really just kind of want to showcase your skills, show that you're exciting and personable on camera, and someone that they'd want to see, and what makes you unique compared to everyone else. So I always start off with a quick review of hey, this is me. I've done this on the show, and then I talk about what I've been up to, and then I try and leave them with something exciting, because I think we had like maybe 60,000 submission videos at like the height of the career or the height of the season. And they pick about 500-600 people to run the course. So they don't have the same people watching it every year. So you really got to get their attention quick and keep their attention. And then when they leave, you want to make sure they remember you. There's only going to be so many firefighters that run the course, and so many teachers and fathers and parents. So what makes you stand out? And that's always interesting and harder the longer you're in the game. Is what have you been up to lately? What's different from last year?
I just wanted to point out to anyone who might be watching, like, if you haven't seen Ninja Warrior,
Mm,
it's different, I think, than a lot of what you might have seen before. Like, these are like dynamic obstacles with
yeah.
moving parts, and you only get one shot at it, right? You don't get to practice or anything.
Yeah, when you get there, you see what the course is when you arrive. You get to see one person demo it during a rules walkthrough, so you know what you can and can't do, and then you wait your turn and give it your best shot.
Yeah, and then it's just that's it. You get one
Yeah,
go. Wow.
it's like the pressure of the Olympics, but you don't have to wait every 4 years.
Right. Um, you know, Isaiah had mentioned that you have a really interesting story, not even necessarily with the Ninja Warrior thing, but
Mhm.
like there's some mental illness that you've been championing, and
Yeah,
do you want to talk about that a little bit?
sure. I mean, there's so much that we deal with in life. Um, so last year I cut off part of my thumb on a table saw like um, 3 weeks before competition.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and so I've been born with a brain cyst. So every day I have to focus on hydration, sleep, food, exercise, and making sure they're all in level, or else I get migraines and it puts me out for 24 hours, 12 hours,
Holy
um,
cow.
and
Hey,
so just dealing with there we go, dealing with the constant struggle of making sure everything's in line and everything is you know going to keep me from breaking down and missing out on life.
yeah.
Um, I get bogged down. I get depressed. I get frustrated. Um, I'm a fairly positive person. I don't really get angry that much. What I do get is depressed, and just kind of disheartened. Like what I told you, season 11, when I lost that job and I ended up failing at Ninja Warrior, it just felt like, all right, where am I in this world, and like, what am I,
Mhm.
how am I going to be productive, for this world? I've come across that several times in my life, and made me wonder. I don't think it's a bad thing to think about suicide, but I think it's going to be bad if you come to that conclusion. So I always feel like to ignore, the question is bad, but to actually think through it is healthy, because then you realize all these other things that are there. Even if I'm not performing on Ninja Warrior, I'm not at the job that I thought I was at. I still have a wife that would be heartbroken if I was gone. Even if I can't teach, I could still do other things to provide for my family. I can still do good in the world, volunteer time, whatever it is, even if I don't have these avenues that, I really wanted. Um, Whenever I go down those paths, I always end up getting to that point of it would be too selfish to, give up. And
Yeah.
there's so much, that can be done with your life if you just focus on doing what you can, instead of worrying about what you didn't have or what you missed out on.
So,
And it doesn't keep me from going down those paths, but it definitely helps me come back out.
so Jamie, I want to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, how many tattoos do you have?
I usually just say, I don't know the number. It's more about coverage at this point, I guess. I've got
50%.
chest, side, um, half sleeve, quarter sleeve, lip, ear, a wrap around my leg, and then a little bit on my ankle. Oh, and my wedding ring.
Uh, Darrington, do you have any tattoos?
I do not. I
I
have
have
never been able to commit to one.
Yeah,
Like I get great ideas and then I'm like, I can't commit to that.
I have
yeah,
I have about 30. but coverage is very
Right.
small.
Yeah.
And they're easily coverable. I mean, I could
Mm.
pull up if I want to show them off, I can show them off, but
Yeah.
I do teach, so well, I don't have any muscles to show off here, but I'm unlike you. But if I pull up the sleeves right here, you can
Yeah.
see them. Sometimes I want to show them off. Okay, so transitioning. I was really taken back when I saw your website and you were so open about mental health struggles,
Sure.
because there's a huge stigma behind it. One, um, I dealt with a lot of mental health issues and addiction,
Mm.
and was a functional alcoholic, and I had to get professional help, and I went through counseling.
Yeah.
But my mom, I saw my mom suffer through a pill addiction that ultimately wound up ending her life early. And so I've seen depression and addiction and PTSD and all those things, uh, bipolar, manic depression. I've seen it firsthand. And to give you a little bit of background too, we were planning for Jamie to come here about 2 years ago,
Mhm.
and right about the same time, I was giving away some trips to South Korea. I'd given away 2 trips through my company. I'd given away 2 trips for the Olympics, and then I gave away another trip for a guy who was in an accident, and he got hit by a car. He was on a scooter and he got hit by a car and busted out all of his teeth.
Mm.
And maybe he was high at the time. I don't know, but because I'm in the plastic surgery business, I'm able to help people with a variety of surgeries and procedures. I arranged for him to get all the treatment that he needed. His face is totally busted up, right?
Right.
So probably about 2 weeks before he arrived here, he called me and he's like, "Oh, Isaiah, I really messed up. I got really drunk and I went to a casino and I lost like half the money I had." And I was like, "Oh my God, I already know what's ahead of me, but
Mm.
I'd put so much time and energy and money into this." So then he winds up getting drunk on the way over here. I wound up bringing him against my better judgment, but I wound up bringing him, and he loses his passport on the plane, and so he gets detained at the,
Yeah.
and then it went downhill after that because we finally found his passport. Someone else had his passport,
Okay.
but anyway, um, I saw addiction in a way with that guy that like I've never seen it before. Like I've never like I try to explain this to him. If my face looked like this, Daniel, I would be doing every last thing, to get my face better. And I presented it everything to him, and he still chose to go drinking every day, and it was unbelievable. So the reason why I want to talk about these issues is too many people do not address them. And
Mm.
for me, I've been Darrington's. I've heard a lot. I mean, I digested 150 sleeping pills, had to spend 3 days in hospital, and I am open about my mental health struggles within my own family, the addiction, because I want to destigmatize it and show people that hey, it's if you don't address these things, they're going to get worse. It's not like they just get better by themselves. So I sought the professional help, and I'm here to say I'm better. I reunited with my wife after 5 years divorce, and I'm no longer an alcoholic, and I no longer have the depression and suicide. So you don't have to go into too many details, but if you want to share any part of your the mental health struggles or what you've done um, to help overcome that, or a message you have for someone who's maybe dealing with that and doesn't even realize that they're dealing with it. Like I
Yeah.
don't think my mom understood what PTSD was as a Vietnam veteran.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, like, we talked a little bit about it, but I got, I guess, lucky in terms of being an alcoholic. When I would drink, I would only drink to get drunk, and then that would end up blacking out. Um, but because I have a brain cyst, I would automatically, be hungover for the next day for, at least a day. Um, so at a certain point, um, I realized that in order to drink, I'm going to lose 2 days out of my life, and that's time that I can't get back. It's not like, all right, I'm going to drink. I'm going to have half of it's going to be fun, half of it's going to be, um, you know, being sick or whatever, but like it's guaranteed I'm going to lose, 2 days. And they're not fun days. So I made a choice to, just cut it out. And I think it was New Year's Eve. I forget what year, but almost a decade ago, I stopped drinking just so that I could, stay active and not lose, all that I've been, working towards, and being active and being a ninja and being, a coach and just trying to be that good role model. I went from uh, being an architect. I wanted to be an architect for my whole life since I, started playing with Legos. And then in college, freshman year college, the assistant dean of the college, um, older married man, um, made sexual advances to me, which were unwelcomed and not very, easy to handle. And I went from dean's list to flunking out, and then I ended up transferring schools, transferring careers, um, and eventually, luckily, the parkour and ninja coaching, just happened to come about from training to and coaching at that location, where that helped me put a path on my life and something to focus on, as opposed to oh, I wanted this, but now this whole world is tainted for me because of that experience. um and I think what really hit me hard and got me into those depressive spots is thinking that where I'm at now is, I've worked so hard to get to this point, and now this has become a new low point, and there's no, getting back there. Um, but as much as it sucks to accept, there's different avenues to get to the same way. Just because you spent so much time on something doesn't mean it's the only way, or um, the only option, or the only way to get there. I worked on ninja really hard, and I failed. But then I kept working and found different avenues and ended up making it to Japan and Germany and Vietnam and all these other places that weren't even on my radar, because I didn't give up, and I focused on what I can do now. What's directly in front of me that I can affect positively. And it's always been for me the community of people around me. Of I'm lucky enough to work with a lot of kids. The green hair is like the green hair ninja is what all the kids recognize from the show. So I get a lot of attention from them, which uh, helps me to be a positive influence on them, but also holds me to a standard to realize that I'm going to be, on their radar all the time. So, I've actually stopped cursing a lot the past 10 years of my life, just realizing that there wasn't really a need for it, and the way that that would be viewed upon by other people. Um, and then, I stopped drinking 10 years ago, trying to be active and, help other people. Helping other people was the best way for me to help myself. Um, so if I had, any advice for someone who is, really, really struggling, is before you think about, giving up or thinking that you do not have worth, try and help other people, because that's going to give you that, self-worth, that you have that, power in this world, or that, ability to make change and do great things.
Yeah. That in my own experience, that's been very helpful. Like,
Yeah.
uh, so do you do a lot with the community right now? I know you run a gym or
Yeah. I mean, pandemic wise, there's not a whole lot community that I could do. So when I lost that job in season 11, I basically ran a
Mhm.
parkour gym that I owned in Jersey, got an offer, um, sold my ownership to go do that location. That didn't work out horribly. Moved the whole family out there. Um, Ended up getting essentially let go, and then um, I was what's the word, threatened with legal action, and all of it was because I was um, looking out for the community. It was I'm not very stubborn, except for when it comes to a few things, and safety, and what I thought with my decade of experience. I'm gonna stand up to whoever tells me that um, what I believe is unsafe. I'll fight for that regardless. And it cost me, my job, and because of that, I couldn't work in that area for 2 years for non-compete purposes. So um, I ended up traveling the country doing workshops, and really kind of getting to know the community a little bit more. And then found this location in St. Louis, and I've worked with them before, and they had a new gym they just opened up, and we were going to open up a new gym, but the GM here was leaving, and like, hey, perfect fit, let's give it a go. We found a house that worked for us, and we decided to stay here, and then we started building the gym up, and then that was, I think, August, and then in March everything closed down. So I got like a little bit of the community, but I've really been isolated to just the gym and the people there. Even with the show filming the past 2 years, there's been no friends and family, no spectators. So that's been, I think, the biggest struggle, is not being able to get involved in the community as much as I'd like to.
Right.
Because for me, it's a lot of hands-on. It's a lot of that person-to-person interaction, or big group meetings and assemblies and stuff like that. So I do what I can, but not as much as I'd like to these days.
Situation back in Jersey.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit, or because
Well,
that's
Jersey was the good stuff.
okay?
And
What
then,
was the
yeah.
one with the
So when I left Jersey, I don't know how much I can say because of
okay,
non-disparagement stuff.
right,
Um,
right,
but essentially, I was given this offer to open up a new gym, and I was like, yeah, let's go for it. We were doing fine in Jersey, but we weren't able to build a savings to start a family, and that's really what the relationship was going towards. So we decided, all right, let's give it a go. Let's commit to it, and start putting in money so that we can start a family and really grow. Um, and we went out there. We bought bought a house, and we just started working and building this company and coaching, and then a reoccurrence of a safety issue just kept happening over and over again. Um, and I just got fed up with it. I refused to allow it to continue. So I took steps to make sure that it wouldn't happen, which clashed with the owners of the company, and ended up going against their direct orders, because I thought it was unsafe, and because of that, I was let go, and then I was put as like a lower position in the company, just a separate one out of the facility.
oh,
And that just dissipated after the first month of it. It was just like, hey, we'll try this, and then of course that went away. And my wife worked for the company too, and it's like, well, she's obviously not going to continue working there, um, seeing how you've been treating me. So she ended up leaving, and then we're like, well, we're in a house here. We can't do any of the work that we spent our lives doing, for 2 years in the area. So luckily, I had been doing workshops before, and just started traveling, and that was our home base. And then when we found what we wanted to do here, put everything in storage, shipped it in a pod, and then took I think like a 3-week road trip. Just did workshops driving through the country until we made our way back out to, pardon me, St. Louis. And we kind of went like a big question mark, like out and around the country. We didn't quite just go straight because we wanted to hit all this stuff. You don't normally have a month of time off from work, so we were gonna do it and go see some national parks and make the best of it.
mm,
So that still really bothers me. I won't take pictures with, anyone wearing the logo. I don't want to support the company at all. I think the people in there are amazing, but I think the people that run it are not. And I just don't think that they're informed or educated enough in what we do to understand you know what to trust the expertise. I mean, I was brought on as an expert, and I was being um, um, my expertise was second to the manufacturer of an obstacle, or the owner of the company, or whatever that is. Where I started out when the first ninja gym in the country was started, and building obstacles before they had crazy new things. And you know it's it was really, I took it a lot on my self-worth to be like, I was brought out here for, because I was looked at as this, really educated and informed, knowledgeable person. And then when push came to shove, I was um, removed from that position because it didn't align, with what they thought was, right. And so it was the one time in my life that I I don't regret, because it was the right thing to do, for the well-being of everyone involved. But it definitely took a big toll, and a big hit on me emotionally, physically, and psychologically.
What is the biggest obstacle you think that people face as far as stigma? Like, why is there a stigma for that? If you were to break your hand or break your toe during the obstacles,
Hmm.
there's no, like, if somebody got corona, you'd go in and no one would make fun of them, no one would mock them, no one would
Yeah.
stigmatize having COVID-19. But why is there that stigma with with the mental health issues? It's a brain thing. And I got to tell you, I've seen you face some of those. What's it called? Mount Medora? Mount what?
Midoriyama.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen you face that, and I got to tell you that you have much bigger courage to be upfront, because the easiest thing for you in the world would be for you is to pretend that that doesn't exist for you.
Yeah.
So
I
the
mean, we're
fact,
getting a lot of support right now because me and my wife are going through IVF. Tried for 2 years and had no luck with fertility. So just been open about that process. Has been really great to hear that. Apparently, a lot of people are really closed in about that and don't want to share or make it public to the world. And I feel like that's similar with the IV, or with mental health. Is um, I think connecting to what Isaiah said about an injury, and why that's easier to accept. I think it's because it's physically visible, to see, like, all right, I have a foot, and that foot looks swollen or bruised, and I've had a bruise or swollen, and they can make that connection. But there is no um, you know connection they can make with mental health. um, I think a lot of it just goes to oh, this was a bad decision, or um, you know as rudimentary as it sounds, I think a lot of the time it's hey, you could eat that box of donuts and go buy one, or you could not do that and just go to bed since it's midnight. But it's not that easy. Sometimes it is, I need to get something to make me feel good, and this is the thing that's going to do it for me. Where they just don't have that connection because they've never experienced that. And because they can't see it or relate it to anything, I think it's much harder for people to accept. I think the more it becomes open, and the more people can kind of see, not just that it's harmful, but a connection for people. So hopefully I'm a case where they can see that I have some level of, diligence in my life, or, control or dedication, that, I quit, drinking cold turkey one night. I was like, this is enough and we're going to end it. And I've been clean for, almost 10 years. Um, and, also that same person can, just stay up all night and, just eat donuts because I want that, um, whatever that chemical is, just from the sugar, because it makes me feel a little happy or a little bit calm, when, my head's going a mile a minute. So that it's not just, the people that, oh, there's always been bad choices, or there's always, whatever, or they're a weak person, or, whatever it is, but to see it as, you know it's just something that makes them not feel like crap, and they don't know when they're not going to have that opportunity again, so they take it. And it's a shame because there isn't an easy solution. It's not like, oh well, if you don't do it you'll feel better in a couple days, or whatever it is. It's they, at least in my case, don't know if that couple days is really going to be any better than the past couple days, or you're so stuck in the right now that it's hard to look past. The best way I can think of it is, think about the last time you lost a loved one. It really hurts in the moment, and eventually it'll get better, but you don't know when it's going to get better. No one can tell you. Comforting to say, oh, in a month, you won't, worry so much that your best friend has passed. It's going to affect them now because it's so strong. And I think that's what makes it so hard is, we don't know how other people think. We just make our assumptions. So I hope that in due time people can kind of give everyone the benefit of the doubt and assume that they're struggling because something is really affecting them, and find a way to, help support them, in a positive way, without enabling them or just, demonizing them. I know in sometimes my case I need that push. I need my wife to be like, no, you don't need Pizza Hut. You're competing in a week, so don't do it. I was like, all right, fine. I just need someone to tell me no, that it's a bad idea, and I'll, trust them. But everyone's different, and you got to figure out, what works for you, or what works for the person that's suffering.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that it's so important that people understand that we all go through
Yeah.
varying degrees, and it's all real,
Mhm.
right? Um, and it's very easy to look at somebody else driving down the road and they're swerving and think that there's something
Yeah.
wrong with the driver, but it could just as easily be the steering column.
Yeah.
And we have no way of knowing.
Mhm.
So not judging.
I'm glad you brought up the driving thing, because something like that really hit me once. I was like, well, how do I know that, their house isn't on fire, and they're rushing to, save their family? Like, I have absolutely no clue what their background is. And that can really be eye opening when you start to look at life, in that perspective.
Yeah, amen. When somebody's coming up on you on the freeway, and um, I know the temptation
Yeah.
is to judge and put your foot down and
Mhm.
slow down and force them, but you don't know if they're
Right.
what's going on. Maybe they're rushing to the emergency
Sure.
room. That's a really good analogy.
Yeah. I did
Uh,
a study once in college. I took the, uh, public transit in and out from, to the city, and I don't know how long I did it for. Maybe a month or so. But every day I decided to have a conversation with whoever was sitting next to me. So I'm pretty, closed off. Um, but it was really great to, get some perspective of like what's happening around me. I was like, all right, I'll probably say hi, and they'll be like, hey, and then that'll be it. but I met someone who, still messages me today, calls me his little brother. I met a woman who was going to the hospital because her sister got bit by one of her special needs students and now can't teach anymore. And, ended up like crying, and like I was there to be that support for her. And, so many things like never would have happened if I didn't give someone, the benefit of the doubt and be like, what's going on in your life today? And I think just simple things like that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And having something that you believe in that you can put yourself to.
Hmm.
So like, obviously the big difference between me and Isaiah is our sort of cosmic belief
Okay.
structure. Um, but I like what you said about, doing something for somebody else,
Yeah.
because that's, I think, no matter what you're going through or who you are, what you struggle with, that's something universal. We all get that like hit of serotonin and
Right.
oxytocin.
Serotonin. There you go.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even just doing something nice or talking with somebody, even if they're a stranger,
Hmm.
it's risky because sometimes the strangers are not nice.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, I
I
lived in
was in
San
Jersey,
Francisco.
not New York, so I had a little bit better with the amount of frustration of people. But
Right.
yeah.
I was in San Francisco for a number of years, and I smoked. And so, like, it's inevitable you'd have people come up to you, homeless people come up to you and
Sure.
ask you. They're always asking for change first, but then the
Hmm.
second question is can I have a smoke? And I'd say,
Yeah.
yeah, but you gotta stand here and smoke it with me and talk.
Hmm.
Like that's the deal. Is tell
Oh,
me your
nice.
story.
Yeah.
And so that experiment that were talking about with the bus, I relate to that a lot.
Yeah.
Um, what's amazing to me is that once you start talking to somebody
Hmm.
or listening, really listening to them,
Yeah.
they act as if they're starved for it, right? They just
Hmm.
like nobody listens to you when they think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, my diatribe.
No, I think that's it's great to hear that, you know, you kind of came along the same path with a different avenue.
Yeah, yeah. I think ultimately we all do.
Yeah.
Um,
I hope they do. I'd like to see more of that in the world.
yeah, for sure. Um, do you have any recommendations, or how do you suggest somebody handle being discriminated against for mental illness? 'Cause that's a
Um
different coping
yeah.
mechanism, right?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I think um I always kind of had this tough skin at a certain point in my childhood because I grew up like incredibly shy. Like my mom essentially handed me over to people. It's like, you guys are friends now, you know. And I would just be the kid at the party, hanging, holding on to mom's leg, and didn't want to talk to anyone. Um, that I didn't really had a friend, I think, until like elementary school, middle school, um, and it was just like at a certain point, I was so worried, like, what are people going to say and think? And, it just really made me feel not wanting to get involved in anything. Um, and I don't think it was until high school that at a certain point I was like, what does it matter? Like, that doesn't really make a difference on my life. If, someone thinks I'm weird or, doesn't believe, what I'm saying, um, that doesn't affect how I feel or what I'm going to do. Um, and that takes a real, strong, I think, mental fortitude to say, it doesn't matter what they're going to say. I'm going to, be me. But if you can kind of break break down, the people in your life that you're concerned about, what might they think? Usually they're the people that don't matter or aren't going to be, there for very long. They're just kind of, classmates passing by. They're not the friends and family. um, and I'm an odd guy. I've never looked at family as a guarantee to be someone loved. You know, if you're born in the same family as me, um, you know, you still have to be a good person. You know, I'm not going to, you know, still love, you know, my dad if you know he's beating me, you know, with a shovel, you know, throughout the night. Like I feel like I've never had to deal with that level of, you know, trauma. But to me, love is never unconditional. Um, and so if someone doesn't accept me for me or what you know um you know what's bothering me or you know I'm trying to open up about something they're not supportive, um then there's someone who's not here for me. You know, they're just, you know, here to say that I'm in a relationship or whatever it is. And I never liked the idea of, you know, well, he's my brother, so I'm going to, you know, I can't do anything about it except love him. It's like you can either get him out of your life so you can have a positive life, you know, with people that are going to be, you know, supportive and encouraging. Granted that they're not supportive and encouraging of, you know, you destroying your life, you know, of your goals and your, you know, dreams and your struggles. And I think the ones that are there for you in your struggles are the ones that you're going to end up wanting to spend more time around anyway. They're going to be the ones that, you know, you grow a deeper connection to, and that it's not going to bother you as much that those other people, you know, fall by the wayside. Um, I I'm blessed to be in the ninja community because so many of them are just incredible, you know, human beings. Casting does a great job of weeding out all like the selfish people, and I would say 90% of the people you see up there are just incredible human beings. You know, some of the all stars that like, even though I don't get to spend much time with them, the fact that you know I've had them in my life means you know means so much to me and encourages me to be like a huge positive person. Of you know Grant McCartney, Jack the Deadly Ninja from Australia, Michelle Warnke, Sean Darling Hammond, you know Barclay Stockett, like they're amazing people, and when you like get to actually meet them, they're literally like that like sunshine in the room. Like there's just positivity. Like I want to, you know, spend as much time as I can with you because you're going to listen to everything I say. You're going to, you know, pay attention to me. You're going to really care about me. And, you know, you're really going to love me and support me with what I'm doing. And that just makes you want to do the same. And so I'm so grateful that I've been able to come across these people to really kind of show me what someone like what a human being can be, and try and be that for other people. And I think the more people that can experience that, the more it's going to spread. It's like the pay it forward. So I'd like to create as many of those people as we can, so that other people can experience that in their life and realize, you know, it's not all you know crap and judgment, but there are those people in life, and they're just gonna you know become more and more the more you spend time around them.
Yeah. Yeah. Shine the light.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. I think you just made me a fan of Ninja Warrior. So you just got a new subscriber.
Awesome. Yeah, I never liked Ninja. Was always cool because of the challenges of it, but like mental fortitude to you know take this thing on, and you have to do everything right the first time, and the struggle. Like I would much rather see someone like crying and just barely make it through an obstacle than I would like some all-star make it look like it's cake. You know, I
Mhm.
love to see the people that are really overcoming something for themselves, and I think you know that's what's kept me with ninja so much.
Yeah, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
the only thing I can really relate it to is like martial arts gyms, which is
Mhm.
something that I know.
Okay.
And like sometimes you go to a gym and everybody's awesome, like you were talking about. It's just like
Yeah.
everybody is a paragon, because they are reflecting each other,
Hmm.
and they're setting this very high standard of humanity.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you go to a gym and it's toxic,
Hmm.
and it's a lot of machismo, a lot of
Sure.
bullying. Um, so I guess how do you because I know parkour is sort of like a similar situation, right?
Yeah.
It's athletic. There can be toxic environments.
Yeah.
So how how do you distinguish the two, um, or what do you do about it when you find yourself in a toxic situation?
Yeah, so I've come to the point in my life where I don't really engage in the negative kind of discussions. So if
Hmm.
I find, I go to a place and they're just talking crap on stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, but this is really awesome, or anyone who is putting someone down, I'll just cheer them on instead, and just try and not acknowledge their negativity if I can, and then just over flood it, with my positivity and encouragement, because it's been my experience that, and in the show and just in gyms in the community, those people that are just hyper competitive and selfish and really just kind of crap talking everyone, they fade out. They come, they have their moment, and then they're out. The community won't keep them around because you know nothing positive is growing from them. And so I just align myself with the positive people and try and overshadow that toxic environment. I also won't spend time in those places, if I know it's coming, which you never do. You give people the benefit of the doubt. um, but like the company that ended up leaving, I won't go there again. I'll train with the people that are amazing, uh, but I won't be associated with the company because I feel like that whole thing is just toxic. um, and so I think you try and do your best to be that shining light, and light up the room, and give people a little peek at how things can be elsewise or otherwise. But at a certain point, um, you just need to ignore that and focus on the good in life. um,
Mm.
when I was a kid, I was um, I wasn't really like bullied, but I was just kind of, picked on. And when I stopped paying attention to them, that's when it stopped bothering me and it stopped happening. So, like, the more you ignore it and the less that they think they have an impact, the less it happens. And so, we're at competitions. People get frustrated. It's a big deal, and you fall and you get upset. Um, but no one's going to pay attention to you if you're acting like a child throwing a tantrum on like this national stage. Everyone's in the same boat you are. And then when you have that second to take a step back and look at your actions, you're like, oh man, I was acting like such a I was such like this childish person. And you'll have that happen, and then they'll come back like, hey, I'm sorry, like thank you for this opportunity and stuff like that. And so um you just don't let it drag you down. You stay focused on the good in life, and try and change their mind if you can. One of my friends always say, kill them with kindness, which I think is such a fun idea. um but I don't have the I'm not a good liar, and so I'm not a good like actor either. So the killing with kindness is for me just kind of more like ignore them with positivity.
Yeah. When you can
Yeah,
be the light.
yeah. Be the light, or don't go walk into the shadow.
Well, as someone who lives in the shadow,
Yeah,
it's there's some light in there too. Um,
yeah. It comes and goes.
yeah, I noticed and I appreciated that you say "we" a lot. Like
Yeah,
"we" is very threaded into your language, and I think a lot of that probably has to do with your relationship with your wife. Do you want to talk about how you guys met, or
sure.
anything?
So yeah, I feel like every like thing in my life has some sort of weird story, which reflecting on it makes me just, feel happy. Um, so when I was on the show, originally I just had body paint. Before I made my costume, I was uh, based off of Captain Planet, if you remember that cartoon as a kid.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's basically Captain Planet with a different logo. I used the station's logo because they owned it. And so I was on a dating website, um, and so was she, and she was doing it like a job, like having so much stuff lined up and like all these different things, and she was gonna close it down, but she had just watched the show and had this thought, because she saw me and my girlfriend at the time on it because it's taped like a year ahead of time. Um, if this yellow haired guy can have a girlfriend, why can't I, find a boyfriend? And then she saw me on the dating app and was like, well, I'm going to close it and cancel my account, but I'll go on one more date and either I'm going to get catfished by this Ninja Warrior guy, or I'm actually going to go on a date with a Ninja Warrior. And so she took a chance. And if you're familiar with Philadelphia, there's that FDR skate park, which is built underneath the bridge. And she lived in Pennsylvania. I lived in New Jersey, and that was kind of the only thing I knew. So I was like, let's meet. So we met, we had dinner, and then we ended up going on a second date, I think 3 days later, where it was an overnight trip to New York, where it was me, her, and two ninjas, Mike Bernardo and Mike Needham, in a car for, I don't know, 4 hours or something like that. So I put her through the patience test early on, and she, was phenomenal. She got along with them fine. But we met on a dating website and met under a bridge in Philly, and it worked out great that we ended up getting married, ended up traveling together. She moved in after like a month or so, and then we got married about 2 years ago. I've been together about 5 years now, and been great. So ever since we got married, been trying to have a kid. Didn't work. So this year we went and got testing done and realized that I didn't have nearly enough sperm count to make the chances worthwhile of doing it naturally. So we got the IVF process going. We got over the entire process of everything, 3 viable embryos. We did one, it didn't work. We're on the second one now to see if that works, and then if not, we got one more chance and see how that goes. So it's definitely a struggle right now. That feeling of like we talked about before, what can I do for this world? And I'm like, well, I should be able to, provide, a child for my wife, but, I'm unable to do that. And so I'm struggling with making, every effort that I can to, try and do that and support her to make sure that, she's comfortable in this and, do what we can. But then, realizing that if it happens or not, there's always other avenues, and just trying to deal with all these issues of being sick or injured or not being able to perform what I want to perform. That there's still that positive to fight for, and she's been super amazing helping me through that. Not just now, but back several years when I really hit that low, and really good at pulling me out of the weeds and the shadows, and will sit there and be patient and like you said, really listen, and that really makes a big difference when you're down there.
Final thoughts. Usually, this is my first time ever doing this. Usually at work, I say questions, comments, concerns, insults, anything left we want to put up. But it was really great talking to you. I would love to talk to you again. I mean, obviously, you probably hear this a lot, but you're a good man.
I appreciate that.
So continue shining the light, and hopefully we can talk again. I'd love to hear more stories.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And don't know as much about you, Darrington, as I'd like, but I know Isaiah's been doing, as much positivity as he can in this world. So I can only assume you're doing very similar from what we've talked about. So happy to, get to talk to you guys and, hop on this podcast. And, like you said, I hope it, reaches some people that need it and, we can do more work together.
Awesome. Yeah, same here. Yeah, we're the exciting thing about this podcast at least is that um the vision of just getting people together who have different ideologies or different ideas about the world, and showing that we can be respectful and
Oh, sure.
empathetic. I try to demonstrate that in my life. um the conversations that we generally disagree on, yeah, can get very heated.
Sure.
There's a lot at stake. So I think the best any of us can do is, to some small degree, what you do is just demonstrate to the world that there is a better way, and there's always a way through.
Sure.
And if you are out there struggling with mental illness, or just difficulty or depression, or whatever you may be going through, you're not alone. Um, we all go through it, and we make a choice. Um, and it's okay to make the wrong choice and come back. You know,
Yeah.
like, just come back and shine your light.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also want to say that not only are you not alone, that other people are doing it, but you're not alone. There are plenty of people that want to, help you with it as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
I'm not quite sure exactly how to close this out, but I am Darrington, and that is Yoda, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Hello, this is Isaiah Diesel at RIG Podcast, and I really want to thank you for making it to the end of this video. Unfortunately, about halfway through, my daughter became extremely sick and started throwing up, so I was not able to finish the podcast, and I had a lot of questions I really wanted to ask Jamie, as well as talk about more of my mental health issues that I've had a struggle with, and how I got professional help, and how I found a lot of courage by journaling and making videos talking openly and honestly about my mental health struggles of the past, and sometimes things that I struggle with on a daily basis. The three letters of this podcast are respect, humility, and empathy. Those are primarily used for other people as we try to discuss a variety of issues that we may not agree on all of the time. The reality is, though, those three letters, which is respect, humility, and empathy, you can use those for yourself. One, respect yourself enough to realize that you need help if you do, and understand that there's no shame in seeking that. Two, have the humility to admit that you cannot do this by yourself, and it's so perfectly okay to seek help. Finally, have the empathy to know that many others have gone through similar struggles and are still going through them currently. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm going to make a whole list of mental health resources available in this podcast. If you'd like to talk further or tell me more about your story, feel free to email us at rigpodcast@gmail.com, or feel free to hit us up at Instagram or Facebook.